You know, for decades, we've all been playing a game with search engines, a game with a clear set of rules. Well, that entire game has just been flipped on its head. The age of AI search is here, and pretty much everything you thought you knew about getting seen online is about to change. So let's just start with a number that should honestly stop you in your tracks. In the US, almost 60% of Google searches now end without a single click. Not one. Why? Because AI is just answering the questions right there on the results page. This means you could be ranking number 1 and still get zero traffic from it. So this brings us to the million-dollar question, right? If getting a click isn't even the main goal anymore, then what is? How do you win when the entire game has been redesigned from the ground up? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. Okay, to understand these new rules, we first have to really wrap our heads around how much the whole point of a search engine has evolved. It's not just a directory pointing you to places on the web anymore. It's become something else entirely. Think of it like this. Old Google, that was your friendly neighborhood librarian. You'd ask a question, and it would point you to a shelf full of books, the 10 blue links, where you could go find the answer yourself. New Google, the one powered by AI, well, that's the researcher. It reads all those books for you, synthesizes all the key information, and just hands you a single, tidy report. And this table here really shows the whole paradigm shift. The goal isn't just about ranking anymore, it's about being cited in the AI's final answer. We're not optimizing entire web pages now, but these little semantic chunks of content. And the big metric for success? Forget clicks. Now it's your share of synthesis. Basically, how often your info actually makes it into that AI-generated summary. Okay, so if you want to win this new game, you've got to understand how the AI actually, thinks, how it processes the whole web to build its answers. So let's pull back the curtain. The core tech here is something called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or just RAG for short. In simple terms, this just means the AI isn't stuck with old data. It actively retrieves fresh information from the live web right now to augment its answer. This keeps everything super current, which means it's always hungry for the newest, most relevant stuff out there. And here's how it actually reads your site. The AI doesn't see your beautiful design, your cool fonts, none of that. It smashes your web page down into small, digestible, semantic chunks. A paragraph here, a section there, maybe even a single sentence. It's looking for these little self-contained blocks of meaning that it can just grab and use. And that right there changes everything about how we need to write. Now, this all comes together in a process that's being called query fanout. So when you ask a big, complex question, the AI doesn't just do one search. No. Behind the scenes, it's firing off hundreds of tiny little background searches for every single subtopic it can think of. Then it gathers all those little info chunks and synthesizes them into that one big, comprehensive answer you see. All right, so we get the problem, we get the tech. Now what do we actually do about it? How do we adapt? Well, this is the new playbook. Some people are calling it generative engine optimization, or GEO. It really all boils down to these 3 core pillars. First, you have to create content that machines can actually read and understand easily. Second, you've got to build authority that an AI can look out across the web and verify. And third, none of that matters one bit if your site's technicals aren't perfect. This is our new roadmap. Let's start with machine-readable content. A great way to think about this is what's called the island test. Basically, every little chunk of your content needs to make perfect sense all on its own, like it's on an island. So a sentence like, "it helps them do it faster," completely fails. What's it? Who is them? The AI has no clue. The after version, though, is crystal clear. So the big takeaway here? Get rid of those ambiguous pronouns. Next up, verifiable authority. Now, for years and years, SEO was all about getting backlinks. In the AI era, that's really starting to change. Unlinked brand mentions on super authoritative sites are becoming incredibly powerful. I mean, an AI seeing your brand's name mentioned on a major news outlet is a massive trust signal. It establishes you as a credible source, even without that physical link. And finally, the absolute foundation of all of this, flawless technicals. Look, if the AI crawlers can't access your content quickly and efficiently, you're basically invisible. This means using things like server-side rendering so your content is there instantly, having crazy fast response times, using clean semantic HTML code, and of course, being secure with HTTPS. This stuff is totally non-negotiable. All right, let's look at something a bit more advanced, and to be honest, a pretty hotly debated topic right now, a new way to talk directly to AI crawlers called LLMS.txt. Okay, think of it like this. You know how a sitemap tells a search engine where all your pages are? Well, an LLMS.txt file is designed to be a special roadmap just for AIs. It points them to these super clean, text-only, summarized versions of your most important content. The whole idea is to make it incredibly cheap and easy for the AI to get your best stuff, which hopefully increases the chances it'll actually use it. And this isn't just some theory, some big players are already getting on board. For example, Anthropic, the company that makes the AI model Claude, has actually endorsed LLMS TXT in their official documents. That's a really strong signal that this standard could have legs. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? Here's the other side of the coin. John Mueller, who is a really important voice at Google, is pretty skeptical. He points out that, as far as he knows, nobody's actually using it yet, and he says you can prove it just by checking your own server logs. This just perfectly sums up the debate right now. And the data really backs this up. A recent study found that adoption is only around 10%. So, what's the verdict? LMS-TXT is a really interesting, forward-thinking idea. It's definitely one to watch, but it is not a mainstream requirement. At least, not yet. We've covered the what, the how, and the why, but now for the final, absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle. If clicks don't matter as much, how on earth do we measure success? This table lays out the new key performance indicators, the new KPIs. So instead of just obsessing over organic clicks, we now need to track our share of synthesis. Instead of just keyword rankings, we're looking at citation velocity. That's how fast and how often you're being mentioned by other authoritative sites. And finally, we can use tools we already have, like Google Search Console, to track AI impressions, to see how often we're showing up in those AI answers, even without a click. And that really brings us to the final and most important question you need to be asking yourself right now. In this new age of AI search, is your website just a suggestion that an AI might point to? Or is it an authoritative source that the AI directly quotes and relies on to build its answer? Because in this new world, being the source is the only way to win.